Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host, Jamie Carter, and we're just going to run through all the weekend's action. Um, Obviously, starting in the Premier League, as we usually do, and then just working our way through the leagues down to League Two and possibly a slight review of the conference as well. Um, anyway, let's start with the Premier League. Obviously, I'm going to do a review of the games to come as well in this episode. Up until about Thursday on this week coming. Obviously, the week starting is the 25th of April, 2022. Okay. Anyway, so go on to Saturday. The first game up, massive game. It was Arsenal. They had to win to go above Tottenham, to go above Tottenham, sorry, to get into that final Champions League place in fourth. They was up against Manchester United. Manchester United had a absolute mauling in the week. Without Ronaldo because of personal reasons. By Liverpool, they'd lost 4-0. They got absolutely smashed. Liverpool could have beaten them by a lot more, in fact, in that game. So you're rocking a Liverpool shirt today. But yeah, Manchester United, they had chances in this game as well against Arsenal. But they went down early to a Tavares goal on the 3rd minute. Excuse me. Then they had a penalty was given away on the 32nd minute. And Bukayo Saka scored the second goal. Then Ronaldo scored on the 34th minute, 2 minutes later. And then there was a chance for Manchester United to equalise to make it 2-2. And Bruno Fernandes stepped up to take the penalty, which I think it should have been Ronaldo. And he hit it against the post. He did his step up, but he stuttered. And I think he ended up hitting the post and wasted that opportunity for Manchester United to draw a level, which I believe would have given Manchester United more confidence to go on and get a result out of that game. But as it was, Granit Xhaka scored an amazing 30-yard goal right into the bottom corner of the net past De Gea. A beautiful strike to make it 3-1 to Arsenal. Arsenal ended up winning 3-1. And that cemented their place in the fourth spot. Well, early on it did. Later on in the day, in the evening kickoff, Tottenham had to go to Brentford, and they had to win at Brentford to go above Arsenal on goal difference, but they ended up playing out a 0-0 draw. Now, it was significant because in the Brentford squad was Christian Eriksen, who was a Spurs favourite. And as a lot of us know, he had a cardiac arrest in the Euro 2020 games. He working his way back to fitness. Obviously, they got rid of his contract because of his condition. He ended up sort of like building up his fitness, getting back to a level where he could play again. He played for the whole game for Brentford against Tottenham, but it was only a 0-0 draw in the end, which is good for Brentford. Brentford are already safe. Brentford are on that special 40-point mark that usually means that you're safe. They're about 9 points clear of relegation after Burnley winning on Sunday, but they're pretty much safe. Anyway, Leicester and Aston Villa, they played out a boring 0-0 as well. Manchester City absolutely smashed Watford, although Watford did get back into it after 2 goals by Gabriel Jesus, put them in the lead on the 4th and the 23rd minute. Camara got a goal back for them for Watford on the 28th minute to make it 2-1. But then there was another 2 goals by Jesus and Rodri, which made it 5-1. So Watford are pretty much down. They are down now. Not mathematically, but they are pretty much down. Norwich are down as well. Norwich got absolutely battered at home by Newcastle United. Joe Linton seems to be on fire at the moment. He got 2 goals, and Guimaraes, the signing from Olympique Lyon, got another goal for Newcastle, which put them up to 9th momentarily. I believe they're in 10th now after the games on Sunday. The games on Sunday, Burnley had to win, and Everton were playing, so two teams fighting out for relegation. And even now, after the results that Burnley and Everton had at the weekend, even Leeds United look like they could be in with a chance of going down as well. So, looked at the games, looking at Burnley, they got a fantastic 1-0 win at home to Wolves to take them out the relegation zone for the first time in a long time. Everton put up a really, really good fight in a massive game on Sunday on Sky Sports against away at Liverpool. Liverpool obviously had to win to keep them in touch with Manchester City because Manchester City had pulled clear, 4 points clear after winning against Watford on the Saturday. But on the Sunday, Liverpool, they finally took advantage. 2 goals from Jota and Divock Origi, who has a massive habit of scoring against Everton. It's the team that, that he scored against the most. And Liverpool ended up winning that one 2-0. So Liverpool are only still 1 point behind Manchester City. Manchester City is still top, obviously, at the top of the Premier League. Chelsea, they got a narrow 1-0 win against West Ham, although it could have been more than that because they missed a penalty through Jorginho right near the end. But it looked like West Ham had got a 0-0 draw out of that. But in the end, Chelsea got a goal and from Pulisic on the 90th minute, which meant that they maintained that third place in the league, which is the obviously automatic group stage qualification for the Champions League. Now, West Ham, it's a bit disappointing for them, but they still got a chance of obviously getting in the Europa League again this season. But really, by the looks of things, the way that West Ham rested a few players, they're playing Yarmolenko up front, it really looked like West Ham are focusing on trying to win the Europa League, which they've got a really good chance of. I think they're probably just narrowly second favourites behind RB Leipzig out of the teams that are remaining. But obviously, if West Ham win the Europa League, it doesn't really matter if they finish 7th or 8th in the Premier League. They're going to end up in the Champions League. So that's the beautiful thing about winning the Europa League. So fingers crossed, hopefully West Ham do win it as the only English team that's left in it. Obviously, they've got to play Eintracht Frankfurt on Thursday. Obviously, I'll do a preview of that soon after I've done the rest of the games. But anyway, moving on, there was a couple of other games in the league. Southampton were away at Brighton. They drew 2-2. Like I said earlier, Burnley beat Wolves 1-0. Liverpool beat Everton 2-0. And then there was Chelsea beating West Ham 1-0. So they were the Sunday games. At the top of the goal scoring chart, Salah's still at the top with 22, and Heung-min Son's with 17, and Ronaldo, considering he's missed a few games for Manchester United and came 2 months into the season, he's in third with 16. So that just shows you the quality of Ronaldo playing in a bad team, a bad Manchester United team, and having a few rests because of injury and stuff. He still ends up being the third top goal scorer in the Premier League so far, with a chance of possibly even finishing top, but more realistically, even finishing second, to Salah, which is a massive, massive thing in the best league in the world, in my opinion. I'm not being biased, but we get the best players over in England compared to the other countries. So anyway, that was the review of the Premier League. As I say, Manchester City still sit top by 1 point. Liverpool are in second. You've got Chelsea in third. Arsenal are in fourth after Tottenham slipping up away at Brentford 0-0. And then after Tottenham in fifth, you've got Manchester United and West Ham still fighting it out. Wolves obviously lost, so they didn't move any further up the table. But yeah, that's what's going on. Down in the relegation zone, it's now Everton in the bottom three with Watford and Norwich. But Everton have got some games in hand over Burnley, got one game in hand. So they'll have to win that game in hand anyway, and we'll see how they pan out through the week. But anyway, we'll nip into the Championship. There was a few interesting games that happened over the weekend. All the games, virtually all the games were played on Saturday. Or there was one game where Huddersfield line in third. They're still in third. They won 2-1 in a Yorkshire derby against Barnsley, who were already relegated. The bottom three in the Championship is already confirmed now after Peterborough lost at home to Forest. On Saturday, they lost 1-0 at home. So they completed the lineup. Barnsley, Derby lost at home 3-1 to Bristol City. So they're down. So Peterborough, Derby and Barnsley, they're all down. Reading stay up. Paul Ince has done a fantastic job getting them a few good wins, picking up points here and there. That's meant that Reading are obviously safe now. As far as the playoffs, Fulham goes, Fulham are promoted. They're not quite champions yet, but they're soon to be champions in the next couple of games, probably on the next game. They drew away in a battle of the top two. Mitrovic scored in the 56th minute at a packed-out Vitality Stadium away at Bournemouth. but Solanke got a goal right in the last minute. Now, obviously, that was annoying for Fulham because that if Fulham had won that, that would have meant that Fulham would have been champions. Um, but the wait still goes on for Fulham fans. They've had a few little slips here and there, but ultimately they are going to be crowned the champions of the Championship. Bournemouth are most likely going to finish second, although Huddersfield are close on their tails. Bournemouth have 2 games in hand over Huddersfield. Forest have the same amount of games, but Forest are 5 points behind. Although Forest have to still play Bournemouth away, so if Forest were to win Bournemouth away, it would make it very interesting. I would say Forest would have to win their last 4 games, sat in 4th place, to have a chance of finishing the automatic promotion places. Obviously, being a Forest fan, I really, really hope that they do win those last 4 games and that Bournemouth do slip up in a few of their matches. But in reality, I think second place is going to go to Bournemouth, and unfortunately, Forest will probably end up in the playoffs. Looking at the playoffs in the Championship, Huddersfield, I think, have cemented their place now. The team outside the playoffs is Millwall with 66 points, but there's a 10-point gap there with only 2 games to go. So really, Huddersfield have cemented that. We're looking at Forest. I would say Forest have cemented it easily as well. Luton Town as well. And then really it's just a battle between Sheffield United, Millwall, and at a push, I don't think it's going to happen for Middlesbrough, but a push Middlesbrough. But I think that last relegation place is between Sheffield United and Millwall. Millwall sort of slipped up at the weekend. They came back both times after going behind twice away at Birmingham, but they still finished in a 2-2 draw. As I said earlier, Derby went down. They lost 3-1 to Bristol City. Hull City and Reading, they didn't really have much to play for. They were both safe. Reading got absolutely smashed by Hull 3-0. Keane Lewis Potter is one to watch. He's probably going to end up playing in the Premier League next season. By far, Hull City's best player. He scored twice for them and Jones scored. They won that game 3-0. Luton had an early kick-off against Blackpool, but Luton have very much cemented their place in the playoffs, currently lying in 5th. I think that's where they'll finish as well. They drew 1-1 with Blackpool. Blackpool have had a good season though. They've finished sort of like in a respectable position after being promoted from the League One. As I said earlier, Forest won 1-0 away at Peterborough. A goal right near the end of the first half from Sam Surridge secured the 3 points for them and a playoff spot going into the last few weeks of the season. Sheffield United had a good win in a tough game against Cardiff. They won 1-0, and that sort of kept them in 6th. But as I say, Millwall are only 3 points behind them. There's 2 games for each of them to play. So if Sheffield United were to slip up in both their games and lose both their games, there's a chance for Millwall. But I can't really see it happening. I can only see Sheffield United getting that 6th place. And currently, if the playoffs stay as they are, in the positions they are, it would be Huddersfield playing Sheffield United and Forest playing Luton Town. I think a lot of Forest fans will relish that opportunity. Obviously, Huddersfield and Sheffield United, that's a Yorkshire derby, so that's going to be fiercely contested as well. But I think looking at it all, that's going to be a very, very interesting run-in at the end of for the champion as far as the Championship goes. Anyway, we'll look at some of the other scores. Gone through most of them, but there's a couple left. Stoke were playing at home to QPR. QPR had a slight chance of getting into the playoffs, but that dream's over now for QPR. Although I think they've had a really good season. Like I say, I've watched them quite a few times this season, and they haven't had many. They've not got a strong squad, and they've had a lot of injuries. So I think Mark Warburton's done a great job. Currently, they're lying in 11th in the table, but really they've had a good season. A lot of really good away wins and a lot of good wins at home as well. They just had a couple of moments in the season where obviously the injuries and just told basically and just took their toll on them. Swansea and Middlesbrough had an outside chance of getting in the playoffs. That all but disappeared, drawing 1-1 away at Swansea. Although that's quite a good result because Swansea were on a good run themselves, doing really well. So that was 1-1. And then the final game in the Championship over the weekend, it was West Bromwich Albion, who have had a really poor season by their standards. They were expected to possibly get promoted after relegation from the Premiership last year, but they drew 0-0 in what was a local derby with Coventry. Coventry missed out. They had a little bit of momentum over the Easter bank holiday, which made it look like they were going to possibly have a chance of the playoffs. But that dream died for both of those teams a long time. Especially for West Brom a long time ago. But yeah, like I say, Fulham are still top. They're going to be crowned champions. Bournemouth are in second. There's a slight possibility that maybe Huddersfield and Forest could possibly catch them up, but we'll see what happens anyway. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. As I say, in that top six, Bournemouth and Forest still have 2 games in hand on most of the other teams. Fulham have got 3 games, and the other teams are left with 2 more games left. So it's a bit tight, but I would say, my heart wants Forest obviously to get automatically promoted. So, excuse me. So there's not the lottery of the playoffs, but I would say Bournemouth are going to do it. They've got a stronger squad. They invested quite a lot in the January transfer window as well, which is probably going to push them over the line. And get into that second place to get into the Premiership. As I said earlier, Fulham are already up, and they'll be playing in the Premier League next season. Anyway, we'll have a look onto League One and see what's going on down there. Obviously, there was a few relegations over the weekend. Actually, there was one relegation, which was Crewe, that they were down from the previous weekend. But it's looking mathematically impossible now for AFC Wimbledon and Doncaster to stay up. They're both down. It's not mathematical. Well, they haven't put them down officially, but they ain't going to win 7 or 8-0 in their next game. So AFC Wimbledon and Doncaster Rovers, along with Crewe, will be playing in League One next season. And then it's a fight out between Gillingham and Fleetwood. Fleetwood got a 1-1 draw, which pretty much condemned Wimbledon to relegation, as Wimbledon took an early lead on the 22nd minute, but Fleetwood came back into it through a goal through Joe Garner, and that was 2 minutes from the end. And like I said earlier, that sealed AFC Wimbledon's fate. They're down playing League 2 football next season. Gillingham, they had to fight to try and stay in the league, but they got absolutely smashed away at Portsmouth 3-1. 2 goals from Curtis and Robertson, and 1 goal from Robertson. Goal back from Simeon Jackson for Gillingham to make them lose 3-1 in the end. But looking through the other results, Accrington Stanley, they're sort of finishing mid-table. Lincoln City is safe now. They're staying up, which my mate will be pleased about, living in Lincoln. So that's another season of League One football for Lincoln. But even though they lost 2-1 away at Accrington, they've done fantastic to stay in League One for, I think it's the last 3 or 4 seasons. John Colwyn, their manager, is a great manager, managing at that level with the money and the resources he's got. He's doing a fantastic job. Charlton are going to be finishing sort of in mid-table as well. They got a 2-0 win against Shrewsbury, which was quite good for them. Cheltenham, who have also had a fantastic season after promotion from League 2 last season, they lost narrowly to Bolton at home 2-1. Crewe and Ipswich. Crewe were already down, so they were just playing for a bit of pride, I guess, for the fans. Ipswich their playoff dream sort of died a long time ago, although they got fantastic support. But the game finished 1-1 in that one away between Crewe and Ipswich. Doncaster, as I say, they were already down, but they had a few sort of promising results to sort of get a bit of momentum for next season. They won 2-0 at home to Burton Albion. Burton Albion obviously safe. MK Dons, they're still fighting it out with Rotherham to try and get a automatic promotion. There's still a bit of but that basically was, they won 2-0 at home to Morecambe. But Morecambe are already, they're still in with a chance of going down, so we'll have to see. But anyway, MK Dons, they kept up the pressure on Rotherham, although Rotherham won as well 2-1 at home, so that means that against Oxford, so that means that Rotherham still stay in second place on goal difference, and they've got a game in hand on MK Dons. So I would say Wigan are going to go up as champions, although they did falter against Plymouth, who are in the playoffs, who are obviously fighting to stay in the playoffs. And they're, that finished 1-1. But Plymouth, they've had a great season. But in the playoffs, if we look at it currently, it's MK Dons on 86 points. And then there's 3 teams on 80 points, Sunderland, Plymouth and Wycombe in the playoffs. And just outside, it's Sheffield Wednesday with 79. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, realistically, now are the only team that can get into the gatecrash to League One playoffs. Who they'll go ahead of, no idea. It's one of Sunderland, Peterborough, or Wycombe. So that will make for an interesting last day of the season. We're looking in the bottom places, like I say, Crewe are down, Doncaster are down, Wimbledon are down. It's between Morecambe, Fleetwood, and Gillingham, like it was last weekend, to pretty much stay up in the league. Sunderland had a great win. They smashed Cambridge 5-1 at home. Wycombe, that fight for the playoffs. Wycombe had a narrow 1-0 win to keep them in the playoffs, and Sheffield Wednesday just outside. But there's only a point in it, like I said earlier. And that's pretty much every game of the weekend in League One. As I said earlier, I think Wigan will go up in the in League One as champions, and then it's between Rotherham and MK Dons for that final automatic promotion. But we'll see what happens, because I'm guessing Rotherham have got a game, a catch-up game in midweek, which will obviously I'll preview in a minute. But anyway, we'll move on to League Two. League Two. Forest Green finally got promoted into League One. Whether they'll go up as champions, it remains to be seen. But they drew 0-0 away at Bristol Rovers, which gave them the point they needed to be automatically promoted. Port Vale lost away at Walsall 2-0. So that meant that Port Vale remain in the playoffs, and obviously it means that they can't catch up Forest Green or any, so that meant Forest Green had the chance of, obviously they get promoted. So that was interesting. Barrow, I think they're all but staying up. Well, they're staying up now. Sorry, they won 1-0 at Sutton United. Playing at home to Sutton United, won 1-0. Stevenage stay up now because they won 2-0 at home to Tranmere. It's official, Oldham are relegated to the conference with Scunthorpe after 112 years in the Football League. Scunthorpe had 72 years in the Football League. Those two teams, for the first time in their history, will now be playing in the National Conference next season. Bit depressing. Oldham protested like Scunthorpe fans did a few weeks ago about the ownership. Their owner has yet to leave them, but obviously, unfortunately, they got relegated. So yeah, they go down with Scunthorpe, and it's sad times. Scunthorpe lost again, but only narrowly this time, away at Bradford 2-1. As I said earlier, Bristol Rovers drew 0-0 with Forest Green, and that meant Forest Green parted, and they went up. Exeter, who were remaining second, won 2-0 at home to Rochdale. Harrogate had a good 3-0 win at home to Carlisle. Swindon had a great away win at Hartlepool 3-0. Leyton Orient got absolutely smashed by Northampton 4-2 at home. Mansfield won 2-0 against Crawley Town, which keeps them in the playoffs. Oldham, as I said earlier, they went down, losing in a local derby to another Manchester team. Salford losing 2-1, which meant Salford are sort of keeping the pressure up on getting into the playoffs still. And then, as I said earlier, Walsall won 2-0 against Port Vale to get on track after a little bit of a bad run. And then Newport, they played a Friday game. They lost 2-1 at home to Colchester, who are already safe. So looking at it, Forest Green are top. Like I say, they got promoted. Remains to see whether they're going to win the championship or not. I think it's going to be between Forest Green and Exeter, two West Country teams to have a chance of winning that League Two. Northampton sitting third after a great win away at Leyton Orient 4-2. In the playoffs, it's Port Vale, Bristol Rovers, Mansfield and Sutton United. Just outside the playoffs, we're still with a chance of getting in there, is Salford City, Tranmere Rovers, Swindon and possibly Newport County. Everyone below that has got no chance of getting into the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But that's the review of all the three leagues. There's been some fantastic things going on. It's always interesting, always exciting. Whoever your team is, there's always a bit of drama going on, whether you're finishing in a comfortable mid-table or fighting it out for promotion, or unfortunately ended up in a sad place like one of my teams, with Scunthorpe going down. On the other hand, Forest, they're having a great season, thanks to Steve Cooper. He's done fantastic. But anyway, let's have a quick review. This is quite a long episode. I'm grateful to all my people that like and subscribe. I know it's not for everybody, but I don't really care. I'm just doing this for a bit of fun for myself. I love my football. I love talking about it. it's open for debate and discussion. Obviously, I want people to comment below and see, what they think about what the scores will be in the week, what they think about certain teams, where they think certain teams might end up, all that kind of stuff. It's open for debate. It's very interesting stuff that's going on at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to do a quick preview of the next 3 or 4 days worth of games. There's a lot of European football going on. In the Europa League, it's down to the semi-final stage, and also the Champions League, it's down to the semi-final stage. But let's have a look. But tonight, there's a game for Leeds United. It's a crucial game. Leeds need to win because there's pressure on them now. Everton and Burnley have had some great form, in particular, especially Burnley, which has allowed them to get out the relegation places for the first time in a long time this season. It's only a point over Everton, who have a game in hand. But we'll look at the Crystal Palace Leeds. It's going to be tonight. That's on Sky Sports, 8 o'clock kickoff. I personally think that Crystal Palace will win this one 3-2. They'll come back after a bit of a blip. They've had a bit of a not a great run recently. But I feel that Patrick Vieira has done fantastic with Palace. He's got a lot of great things going on there. There's a lot of exciting youngsters. Eze, Elise, and the loan signing of the Chelsea player, Conor Gallagher, has been fantastic for them. He's weighed in with a few goals. So, yeah, 3-2, I think, to Palace in that one. Preston are playing Blackburn in a Lancashire derby. Preston, they got no chance of getting into the playoffs. Blackburn have got a slight chance, not really going to happen actually now, I think. I think it's pretty much over the dream. But I'll say 2-1 Blackburn in that one. Going into Tuesday night's games, there's a massive game in the Champions League. It's Manchester City against Real Madrid, a battle of two really, really strong teams. Real Madrid are top in their league, Manchester City are top in their league. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in that game, although my heart thinks that Real Madrid might pull off a bit of a shock and win 2-1 there. But I'll say 2-2. In the Championship, Barnsley's playing, these are the catch-up games in the Championship. Barnsley are playing Blackpool. Barnsley are already down, but I'll say 2-1 Blackpool in that game. Fulham are playing Forest. Forest are still fighting it out to get in there. I personally think that Fulham will ease off a bit. I think Fulham know that they're going to win the title. They got something like, I think it's like an 8-point advantage on more than that on Bournemouth, and I think they know they're going to win the title. So I think they're going to be quite relaxed. I will say that Forest will win that one 2-1. Swansea are playing Bournemouth. I'm going to go for Swansea to win that one 2-1, which opens up the possibility of Huddersfield and Forest possibly taking that automatic promotion place. And then I'm going to looking at the games in hand. It's a crucial game for Sheffield Wednesday. They really need to win it away at Fleetwood, and I think they'll win that one 3-1. Fleetwood has still got a chance of going down, but I still think Sheffield Wednesday will win that because it's a must-win game to keep them in the playoffs. So they'll win that one 3-1. Portsmouth on a bit of a great run at the moment, and we're going to do it all right. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. 2-1 draw, because Portsmouth are doing well at the moment. And then Sunderland have got a crucial game. They've got to win a game in hand. It's against Rotherham. I think is going to be a tough game, although Sunderland will be doing well at home. I'm going to say 1-1 draw in that game. And then the games in hand in League Two, Exeter against Barrow. Barrow have been on a good run, but I'm going to go for Exeter 2-0. Mansfield have got Stevenage at home. I'm going to say 2-0 for Mansfield. Sutton United are playing against Crawley Town. Sutton United need to get into the playoffs in League Two, and I'm going to say that Sutton will win that one 2-1. And then Swindon are playing Forest Green in what's kind of like a West Country derby in a way. And I will say in that game, I will say 2-1 Swindon, as Forest Green are already promoted, and I don't think they're that fussed if they win the league or not. They're already promoted. So that's the games for Tuesday night. Going into Wednesday night's games, there's only two. Liverpool are playing Villarreal in the other Champions League semi-final. I think that's going to be a really tight game. But I'm going to say, but I think it's going to still be like, actually, I say tight game. I think Liverpool will win that one. I'll say 2-1. And then we've got Middlesbrough against Cardiff City. I think that's just going to be a boring 1-1 draw probably, because there's not much to play for. Middlesbrough can't get into the playoffs, and Cardiff, they're just going to finish. They're just staying up, but they've not had a great season. I think they're in 17th at the moment. But anyway, we'll flip on to Thursday night for the last bit of previewing. Thursday, there's a game in hand. Manchester United and Chelsea play each other in the Premier League. Chelsea on a bit of a good run at the moment. Well, they've picked it up a bit, should I say. I'm going to go for Chelsea to win that 1-2-1 at Manchester United. Then there's the semi-finals, crucial semi-finals for the local team here for the West Ham fans. West Ham are playing against Eintracht Frankfurt, excuse me. And I'm going to go for 2-1 West Ham to win that 1-2-1. And then RB Leipzig are playing against Rangers. And I'm going to say that RB Leipzig are going to win that one. And I'm going to go for 2-1 in that one as well. My favourite scoreline. 2-1's quite a popular scoreline with a lot of people when they're predicting. But I'll say 2-1 because I think that Rangers will play well, but I think they'll just miss out. And I think that Rangers might do him in the second leg. And I also think that West Ham will have enough in the second leg to get through against Eintracht Frankfurt. But we'll see what happens anyway. It'll be interesting to see. Fingers crossed for West Ham and Rangers, the two British teams going into that semi. I'm hoping that it will be a West Ham Rangers final and that the two German teams won't win in those games. But we'll see what happens. It could quite easily be an all-German final for that Europa League, but we'll see what happens. Last preview for Thursday night's games, there's the semi-finals for the conference, and we've got one English team in the semi-finals. Leicester City, they're playing at home to Roma now. Roma is obviously managed by Mourinho. He'll want to win that, even though it's not a great trophy, but it's still a trophy. I think that Leicester have got enough to win over two legs, but we'll see what happens. Leicester haven't had a great season. I believe they're sitting in mid-table in the Premier League. But I'm going to go for 2-1 on the night for Leicester City to win against Roma. And Feyenoord are playing against Marseille, and I'm going to say 2-0 for Feyenoord in that game. I'm actually going to review the Friday night game. I'll preview it. It's even. QPR are playing Sheffield United. There's not much at stake for QPR. I can see Sheffield United winning this 1-0. And that'll be enough to keep Sheffield United in the playoffs and stop Millwall from getting in there. Anyway, that's my review of the weekend's action and preview of the midweek games to come. Of the games to come even. Obviously on Friday I will do a preview of all the weekend's games to come on the Saturday, Sunday and Monday games. Thank you for listening and watching. It's been a very long episode today. I'm grateful for your support. Please let all your friends and family know about me. Like and subscribe. Watch the episodes. Even if you don't feel you can watch them all the way through, give it a little watch. See what you think. Give me some comments. Give me some feedback. I know there'll be things that I need to improve on. I'm fine with that. Have a great week and enjoy your football, whatever team you support. And I'll have a great time. All right. All the best, bye. I've been Jamie Carter. This is Football Heaven 24/7, episode 15. I'll have episode 16 for you, as I say, on Friday. All the best, bye.